President Donald Trump said he believes Vladimir Putin's repeated denials of having meddled in the 2016 U.S. presidential election, and only haters and fools can't see the benefits of a good relationship with Russia. Every time he sees me he says, I didn't do that, and I really believe that when he tells me that, he means it, the U.S. president said on Saturday after meeting the Russian leader briefly on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Vietnam. Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump talk as they arrive for the family photo session during the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in Da Nang on Saturday. Photo AP. I think he is very insulted by it. If you want to know the truth, don't forget, all he said was he never did that, he didn't do that. I think he is very insulted by it, which is not a good thing for our country, Mr. Trump told reporters aboard Air Force One en route to Hanoi. However, after coming under significant criticism for the comments, including from intelligence agencies and some fellow Republicans, the president later walked back the comments. As to whether I believe it or not, I'm with our agencies. I believe very much in our intelligence agencies, the president said in a news conference in Vietnam. I believe that President Putin really feels, and feels strongly, that he did not meddle in our election, but what he believes is what he believes. Former U.S. Intelligence Director James Clapper had earlier told Reuters the fact the President of the United States would take Putin at his word over that of the intelligence community is quite simply unconscionable. Mr. Trump had earlier called the accusations about Russia, which have triggered a special counsel investigation and several congressional probes, an artificial Democratic hit job that make it harder to resolve diplomatic issues. When will all the haters and fools out there realize that having a good relationship with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing? They're always playing politics, bad for our country. I want to solve North Korea, Syria, Ukraine, terrorism, and Russia can greatly help, he later wrote on Twitter. When will all the haters and fools out there realize that having a good relationship with Russia is a good thing, not a bad thing? They're always playing politics, bad for our country. I want to solve North Korea, Syria, Ukraine, terrorism, and Russia can greatly help. Donald J. Trump at Real Donald Trump November 12, 2017. Mr. Trump dismissed the conclusions of multiple U.S. intelligence officials that Russia interfered in last year's presidential election, ultimately to help him win, saying political hacks led some of those agencies. Mr. Trump called James Comey, whom he fired as FBI director in May, a liar and a leaker. At the APEC meeting, Mr. Putin urged his U.S. counterpart to find time for a formal meeting. Mr. Trump told reporters of Putin's suggestion, "Well, have a meeting. We have the potential to have a very good relationship." He offered no specific timetable. "We can save many lives by making a deal with Russia having to do with Syria, and then ultimately getting Syria solved and getting Ukraine solved," Mr. Trump said, referring to ongoing conflicts in those countries. "This artificial Democratic hit job gets in the way," Mr. Trump said. "It gets in the way. And that's a shame because people will die because of it." For his part, Mr. Putin said he has a good rapport with Mr. Trump. "It's important that we find an opportunity, with our teams, to sit down at the level of presidents and talk through our complex relations," Mr. Putin said in Da Nang, Vietnam. "Our relations are still in crisis. Russia is ready to turn the page and move on." Despite Mr. Trump's campaign pledge to improve battered relations, ties between the two Cold War foes have become more tense during his first year in office after the U.S. tightened sanctions in response to alleged Russian election interference. Russia responded with U.S. diplomatic expulsions and the sides have since struggled to make progress on most issues. In his APEC press conference, Mr. Putin dismissed the accusations of election meddling as political infighting in the U.S. Following their brief talks in Vietnam, Mr. Putin and Mr. Trump issued a joint statement in which they agreed to support a political reconciliation in Syria, while maintaining the existing two-nation communication channels used to fight Islamic State. Bloomberg.